Hi there, this is Chris from MoneyHub, and this video looks at travel money for Thailand. So, of course, Thailand's a very popular place to travel. We've put together this guide to make it as comprehensive as possible to cover the three options here, which is using cash, using your New Zealand issued debit or credit card, and then the alternative being is using a travel money card. What we've done is looked at the options, compared rates and things like that, and just explained the pros and cons of each. I'm going to walk you through that. We've got some must-know tips, and we've also got some frequently asked questions as well as our conclusion. So let's get straight into it. Thai baht is the official currency, and currently in the last 5 years, the New Zealand dollar has bought between 20 and 23 Thai baht. Now that does move around a bit, but day to day it's not so volatile. So you should be getting anywhere between 20, 21, 22, and 23 Thai baht when you go to Thailand. Now, largely Thailand is quite cheap compared to New Zealand, so the difference in the foreign exchange won't be so significant. It's not like if it was the euro or the US dollar and you're traveling to either of those sort of areas. Thailand is a low wage economy, which means that traveling around there, hotels, food, things like that does tend to be a lot better value than you'd get closer to New Zealand. Now, what we'll go straight into is looking at using cash. So if we just go straight into that, the Thai baht, as I said, is the currency. And Westpac is the only provider that if you do want to get cash before you leave for Thailand, then you can go to a Westpac branch if they have it, and if you're a Westpac customer. And you can see that the Thai baht, if we go down here, of course, this is taken in August 2024, the rates change all the time. We can see that if you want to change New Zealand dollars into foreign cash, 1 New Zealand dollar is going to buy 20.49 Thai baht. Now, the other options are looking at the Bureau de Change or Forex booths. You'll find those. In in Auckland, Wellington, and Christchurch airports. Usually from TravelX or Number One Currency. We go to TravelX right now and have a look at what that rate's going to be. They've got their own page on Thailand, on Thai baht. Then if we look at Thai baht here, we do 1,000 just so we can get the actual exchange rate. Then we will see that the rate that they're offering is 19.25. Now, of course, that is lower than the 20.5 being offered by Westpac. So it's about 5% lower. If you were looking at Number One Currency, which of course is the competitor to TravelX, then if we put in 1,000 there and we type in Thai baht, then we will see that the rate is 19.76. So that is higher than what TravelX offers, but it is lower than what Westpac offers. And just for reference, if we type that into Wise, we can see that their rate is around 21. Less fees. In this case, we're looking at a transfer. But if you were doing it based on just topping up your wallet with New Zealand dollars, of course, it would be less. You're seeing it's around 21 or 20.88. So that is a full close to 2 baht higher than what you'll get from TravelX. Just because, of course, the rates. Sorry, I've gone to the wrong thing there. It's 19.25, and with Wise you can see it's up to around 21. So that does make a difference, and it does make your holiday either cheaper or more expensive depending on who you use. Now let's just get straight back into the guide. So getting cash from Thai baht from the ATM or when you arrive at the airport, that's usually fine. The kiosks there will be fair with your New Zealand dollars. Of course, you do have to bring 20s, seem to be the most popular thing, or 10s, not so much 50s or 100s, just because people, the Thai banks that work or that operate at the airports need to be able to give them to other people going. And of course, it's much easier if you have smaller notes. what you'll find is some banks will charge, say, a $6 fee to make a withdrawal, whereas the ANZ is free. But you will face the issue of Thai ATMs charging around 200 Thai baht, which is around $10 to make the withdrawal. That's for an international card. Now that applies to travel money cards. It applies to zero fee New Zealand issued debit and credit cards or things like that. It is annoying, but that seems to be the state of play within Thailand, and that means that if you are going to withdraw money, then the best thing to do is use a lot of, basically take out a large amount so you do avoid this $10 fee as much as possible. So usually, certainly if I've been to Thailand, I've done the 20,000 Thai baht, which is around $1,000. And the reason is because I just don't like paying that 200 baht fee. I just find it like annoying. So our view here is that we've found the FX rates and the ones that are offered within New Zealand not that favorable. It is going to be more favorable when you get to Thailand. The banks also do offer better rates within Thailand, but you of course have to bring your passport and everything like that. But just be aware that what you'll be quoted within New Zealand is not very strong. Now, if we look at the pros and cons of using Thai baht, it's going to be universally accepted. This is not like Singapore, Hong Kong, or Japan, although Japan can be quite cash. Singapore, of course, likes cards, but Thailand does love cash. So if you're going to be paying for taxis, tuk-tuks, buses, trains, restaurants, street food, everything cash is just really, really preference there. And then, of course, it's immediate. Cons are you will be walking around with some large amounts of cash, but that's not going to be a huge issue because you can leave, of course, in your hotel or wherever you're staying, somewhere safe. And then if you do have cash left over, then you will need to change it back to New Zealand dollars. That can be expensive in the fact that you're not going to be offered the best rate. This is why we do suggest people just part pay with their money on the last day. And if there's a hotel bill to pay or some sort of expense, then use up the rest of the money there and then head out to the airport, etc., etc. What you can do if you do have leftover money, though, is spend them, as we said, part payment, convert them back to New Zealand dollars. It's not going to be great, but you can do it. At least you've got New Zealand dollars which you can spend, or give them to someone else. Of course, if you are going beyond Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, anywhere like that, then of course change them to the next currency that you're going to as well. For New Zealand issued debit and credit cards, what happens here is that your bank will charge you in most cases, unless it's a 0% FX fee and low, generally low fee card. You will be charged on average around anywhere from like 1.3% to 2.5% for the card to use it. That just is going to be the FX fee, and the banks need to obviously make more profits, and so they will just levy that charge on everything that you transact. So if you do, say, $100 charge, then the bank will just tack on $1.50, $1.30, or $2.50 as an FX translation fee, or whatever they're going to call it. It does vary from bank to bank, and that's just kind of annoying because you are paying their FX rate as well. Not always the best, and then you're being charged to convert money. Even though that's an automatic process. So pros and cons of New Zealand bank cards. Of course, you can use them everywhere. That takes cards, but also, and you can track all your costs, which is great. If it's a credit card, then you've got protection there. But the problem there is that you will be paid, or sorry, you will be charged to use these cards by way of these extra fees. You may get a situation with dynamic currency where you'll be paying for something in a card. It recognizes that your card is from New Zealand. It will say, do you want to pay this, for example, 10,000 or 1,000 Thai baht charge with New Zealand dollars or with Thai baht? You would always click Thai baht, but some people click New Zealand dollars and find out that there's been a 10% conversion charge, which is just a big scam. So be aware of that. And then, of course, Thailand is known for a little bit of scams here and there. It's a safe country, but there are some the sort of bank problems, so to speak, or card issues. So just be aware that if you do run into trouble with your card, then it can be quite difficult to arrange a replacement if you're dealing with a bank in New Zealand. So our view, it is convenient to have a card. We do like the fact that some of these credit cards are coming down in fees. There is certainly a Westpac 0% FX fee card, but at the same time, you are paying their rates, and most people don't have these cards, so you are paying anywhere between 1.3 to 1.5 to 2.5%, which is annoying. Check the details with your bank because every card that they offer will be different, and it's important to know exactly what you're going to be charged. Now, with regards to the travel money cards, this is where things get interesting because these, of course, are very popular within Thailand. Certainly because you can track all your expenses, so that makes it much more enjoyable to travel. And then secondly, you can lock in rates for Thailand, also for the Thai baht, should you need to in advance, or you can just keep them in New Zealand dollars and pay the day rate. So what you can also do, and this is something that's offered by Wise and also Revolut, is you can make a withdrawal in cash. It's around $350 per month, which will let you be fee-free, so you won't pay any sort of ATM withdrawal fee. Normally they pay or they charge 1.75% for that. So if you do take out $1,000, you will be charged the 200 baht. That's the case with every ATM there. Wise will charge you fees on the 650, so you'll pay 1.75% on that, and then $350 of that will avoid that ATM withdrawal fee. Now that fee of 1.75% is not for the general transactions on your card. This is just for cash withdrawals. So the reason people like these travel money cards is because they can top up in advance if they want to have a certain amount of Thai baht, or they can ring fence it, send it, or have different wallets for different currencies. It's just convenient and it's low fee. But for most people, if they're just traveling and they don't want to think about things too much, then it's a popular way is just to keep it all in New Zealand dollars and then just pay the day rate, or the rate at the moment that you transact within Thai baht. So if you make like a $1,000 purchase, you're buying dinner somewhere, then it'll come through at say around $45, $48 New Zealand. And then if you spend 1,000 baht the next day, then the rate of course will have moved. It may have moved a lot, but it's likely it will move very little. So you may pay less than that $48 or $46, or a little bit more, like a few 10 cents, 20 cents here or there. It just eliminates the thinking of how much should I have in Thai baht, when you just know how much you're spending in New Zealand dollars and basically what you're comfortable with. And if you need to top up, you just transfer more money over from your New Zealand bank account to your Wise account. So pros and cons here of using a Wise debit card or within Thailand is going to be, it's going to be widely accepted everywhere cards are, because it's a Visa, and also you get very competitive rates, much better than what the banks will offer, and the lower fees. Multi-currency means that you can use the account. Basically, you can use the account for many different currencies. So you can have Vietnamese dong, you can have US dollar, you can have Singaporean dollar, Malaysian ringgit, Indian rupee, all sorts of things. So that's very useful should you want to have different wallets preloaded or keep loading them up. And then transparent fees, because every transaction that you make will show you what you have been charged, and then instant notifications coming up on the Wise app. Of course, Revolut offers something similar as well. They have a slightly different fee structure, and it does get a bit complicated with their 1% weekend penalty charge, but generally it is quite straightforward. Cons, of course, is that you've got the free limit on the ATM, but of course, if you did use a bank issued ATM card, or a debit card at the ATM, most banks will charge 2.5%. So Wise is still cheaper than that. Plus, you're getting a stronger exchange rate, and of course, the Wise or the Revolut card or any travel money card is not going to be. It's not going to be a credit card. So just be aware of that. So that brings us to the must-know travel tips. be just be careful in Thailand. It is safe and it is largely low crime, despite its reputation. When things go bad, they go really bad in terms of violent crime. But overall, it is very safe for people to travel to. Thais oblige by the law. Generally, whilst the driving is a bit questionable and people do things that sort of are illegal, travelers in sort of parts of Thailand around sort of recreational substances. Generally, money wise, Thailand is very safe. And just be careful of your cards, of course, and also consider mobile payment options. So Apple Pay, Google Pay, because that will be widely accepted around Bangkok, Phuket, Koh Samui, Chiang Mai, is sort of places that are quite touristy. And of course, keep track of what you spend, because whilst Thailand is cheap, it can add up. So just be aware of things like that. Now, and lastly, some frequently asked questions. How does the exchange rate really fare? As we previously said, it will move from 20 to 21 to 23 Thai baht. Nothing too crazy there. Can you use a travel money card and then a debit card or a credit card everywhere in Thailand? Yes, largely, but for street food, certain restaurants by the beach and things that aren't too touristy, it does help to have lots of cash on you, just because they won't always like to take card, or they just won't take card. And is Thailand expensive for New Zealanders to visit to? Generally not. Hotels can be cheap, and it's a big open zone of tourists, so there's lots of people coming there from all around the world. So it does cater for everyone in that sense. And what's the best way to get the most Thai baht for my New Zealand dollar? Well, the answer there is using a card with low fees. That's likely to be something like the Wise card or the Wise card, just because it's got high exchange rate, i.e., like very strong and very favorable, and also it does eliminate these pesky fees that the banks charge for no other reason than just to make more profits. So finally, different options there. There's cash, there's New Zealand bank cards, which are credit cards or debit cards, and there's also Wise debit card or a similar thing like Revolut. Thank you very much for watching this video. I know it is quite a lot to cover. Please let us know any comments in the or any questions that you have in the comment section below. We're highly responsive to comments, because we want to make sure that our resources are as comprehensive as they possibly can be. So thank you very much, and have a good trip to Thailand.